just a quick sketch on the board. Okay. So as you begin in Illustrator, even if you're used to working in InDesign, I think this is something very doable. If you just watch this lesson a couple of times, you'll be able to do it in Illustrator. It's very similar. I'm just going to do the home page, and I'll do this web large 920 by 1080 and create. You'll notice, bless you, that the color mode is already in RGB color. Contrary or differently than print. Printing is done in CMYK. Work for the web is in RGB. The TV color model, the screen color model. Printing is not as vibrant as RGB. RGB much more vibrant. Sam, sorry? I chose the second one, 1920 by 1080, and I am recording this. All right, so I'm create. Essentially, I'm going to create a vertical. I may change the height of this page since it's a home page by making it 1.5 scrolls or double scrolls or whatever size I want, but this is a good place to start, and not a bad idea to mention that at the current resolution of my screen, which is not normal because I'm on this projector, it is filling more than my space. Do you see what's happening there, guys? It's actually, if I went to the screen mode here of full screen mode with menu bar, there's the menu. If I change the setting again to full screen mode, it just barely fits in there. Okay. All right, so I'm zooming out. In Illustrator class, I talk a lot about doing things with layers, so I'm going to do this very proper and not go all over the place. Would like to set myself up using my workspace, reset essentials. See how that goes. Right now I've reset the essentials workspace in Illustrator, and I want to think about laying down the guides that are going to help me to put everything in place on the proper layers. And so I'm going to go to my layers panel. I just clicked on the layers button. And I'm going to name this layer, layer 1. I'm going to call this guides. I'm going to do a save as, file save as, and I'll call it home layout. So I've done sketches, and they're really tight little sketches, and I have an idea when looking at those sketches of how large the areas are going to be. Some things tend to shift during design, and I think it's interesting to note in the history of design when you see plans for things that became famous things, such as the Eiffel Tower, how many iterations they had before they actually picked that one. So it's a process, you know, it's not like you're trying to hammer it down the first time through. You're trying to just get it going. So on the guides layer, I'm going to choose view and make sure that my guides are showing, that I can see guides. So guides are going to be showing, and get my rulers here, show rulers. With my guides layer, I'm going to click and drag and start setting down the guides with a general idea of where I think things are going to go. Now this is really just hacking at this. I will make things more precise as I continue to build the design. So I can already see that I want a lot more depth. I'm looking at my sketch, and I'm looking at my actual page. So I'm going to use the artboard tool, which I just clicked on, and click and drag down quite a bit, and then switch back to the Move tool, otherwise known as the Selection tool, and click on that. And now I'm going to scroll back up. Now, as I'm making the items that I'm going to make, I'm going to give you a lot of tips on how to do it fast and get good at it. So now I'm going to create another area here. You know what? I think I want my slider to be have more depth. So I'm going to need to make sure that I have unlocked the guides. So I'm going to go to View, Guides, and make sure that my guides are unlocked, Unlock Guides. So now I can move this guide. Click on it and move it down. Move guide. All right, I'll just delete it and then I'll put in a new one. So I want the slider to be this tall. That's a lot different than my original sketch, but since I'm the art director and the designer, I can change what I want to do at any time. Okay, so here I'm going to have a little margin, and then I'll create two sections here. Now this is a nice little tip in Illustrator that I'm going to give you. Okay, I'm going to scroll to this section where I'm now in this 2-column asymmetrical spot, and I want to place this line in the right place. Well, so far I really haven't had much challenge to my idea of what the columns are, but now I need to make sense of what the columns are. If I don't put the columns in now, I'll just be guessing for the whole rest of the time. And it's also interesting to note that this size between these two guides, or the space, should probably not be a random number. Just to check that for fun here, I'm going to actually just draw a rectangle, or better yet, a square, by clicking on this top guide and dragging till it snaps to the bottom guide. I'm holding the Shift key, so I'm making a square. And this is how I can measure myself. If I click once now, I can see that that was 43 pixels. That number, right? I need to know what that number is, because that is a little arbitrary and maybe should be a round number. See what I'm saying, guys? So you're going to like kind of go at it, start doing this. Otherwise, you're going to go insane if you're like, how tall should this be? You're going to go in a direction and then you're going to refine as you go. So I think it would probably be better to not have that be 43. It should be like 46. I like even numbers, or 50, just round it up. So if I delete that, or freeze, okay. Oh, here, I'll make a new one, 50. I have the rectangle dialog box open. I'll make that 50 by 50. And now I'll delete this one, move this one up. What else should I do if I'm really being smart about how I'm going to engineer this? I should measure this one and this one. I should know what these are. Or at least they should be round numbers. Now, you don't really have to do this if you're a visual designer that has a really close friend that is your programmer, right? You'll stand there together, like I stand with Steve, and he's like, well, this comes out to 43. I'm like, well, let's make it 50. That's how, these things come about sometimes. But you should know that if you're going to be working with programmers, they're going to make it exactly how you ask them to make it. And so what I'm showing you right now is a very interesting way of eyeballing something, and then how to actually measure it, 83, okay? So that's some of my like little personal juice there. So I would not put 83 as a size of something. So I'll make it 86. Now I'm not like, being real mincy. I really do want it to be smaller than 90, but I want it to be a round number. So 72 pixels is an inch, but on higher definition devices, you get a lot more detail. So you have to kind of think through how you want your work to set up and what you're going to commit to, because objects that are going to be in the design, such as whatever this is, right, this rectangle, how tall is that? You can also look under Window at Info and see the information that you need. So it's 872 is the height. That's actually okay. I would leave that alone because it's a round number, and design is based on your feeling about how things are going to look and fit together. So that's something I do a lot of. Remember, you can move things around with the arrow keys on your keyboard. So I just moved that guide. Now I'm going to delete this shape and move down to the next section and save this and set up my 6-column grid. So really, to set up the grid, all you need to do is make a square. You can make it a rectangle, but whatever size you make it is really fine. And then I'm going to make it copy itself and line itself up. So I'm holding Option and Shift. Now you could just copy it, Command C, and paste it in front, Command F, and then move it over. For people who have been taking Illustrator would know that it's Option or Alt on the PC, Shift drag. Right, so I have 3. I'm going to do Command D, which in Illustrator is transform again, right there, transform again. Command D, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have six squares. And I'm going to show them with outlines instead of fills. So I came over here to the tools, select this whole kit and caboodle, move it over. I'm going to hold the Shift and press the left arrow key so I can line this up to the edge. And then drag this across so it fills. So now I have 6 columns. And I'm going to save my file. And I'm going to show you one more cute little trick, okay? So I saved the file. And now instead of using the ruler tool, the ruler to make the 6-column guide that I need, I'm going to scale this. All the pieces are selected down to the pretend area where I think that the footer will need to start. I'll say there. And with these objects selected, I'm going to choose Guides, Make Guide. So these are drawn boxes. They are boxes that are filled with none and stroked with purple. They are vector shapes, but now I'm telling them to become guides. They are no longer vector shapes, they are guides. And when I click away, I now have that also on my guides layer. Next, I'm going to add more area for the footer. And then I'll go on to the next part in the next movie, which will be starting to lay out the content. So I've clicked on the page or artboard tool. This used to be called the page tool, but now it's called the artboard tool. And I'm going to increase the height of this or the depth of this section where I'm going to be putting my footer information. Deselect everything, save. And now I'm ready to actually start putting the real content into my layers. So I will stop the recording.